Kia ora tātou. Today marks the final stop on this year's Great New Zealand Book Trip. So far, we've been lucky enough to have welcomed 5 celebrated authors and illustrators from around Aotearoa. They sharing their knowledge, their stories with more than 20,000 of you, our tamariki. And seeing so many of you return for more than one session, it's just been really awesome. So I'm Siang, the marketing manager at How Pizza, and I'm super excited to welcome the final author of this year. Now, today's guest is a beloved TV personality and legend who began his career hosting kids' TV shows like After School, the Son of the Gunn show, Jay's TV with his friend Thingy. He's also been a radio presenter and hosted shows like Wheel of Fortune and Dancing with Stars. Now, together with his wife, they're also the creative force behind What Now, which I'm sure some of you younger viewers will know really well. So in case you haven't worked it out, today's super talented author is Jason Gunn. Now, this may this may be a bit of a surprise to some of you, but Jace is also obviously an author, and he's together with his brother Andrew. He's written a brand new series, and today Jace will be reading from Jason Mason and the World's Most Powerful Itching Powder, which was also a finalist in this year's Children's Book Awards. So now, if you haven't read about Jason Mason, he's a pretty average kid. Now, the kind of kid who doesn't really get picked for the rugby team, the kind of kid that gets his lunchbox picked over by the school bully. And every day he finds it really hard to concentrate in class. But get this, he's also the kind of kid that's a secret agent. So, right, you're in for a real treat today, and we hope you're all settled in and ready to enjoy the special reading. Over to you, Jace.
Well, Morena, hello, and thank you very much indeed. Can I just say, let me look at you. You look great. Like, I'm just talking to you. I'm not talking to anybody else. I'm just talking to you. You look fantastic. I mean, I meet all sorts of people, and some of them are very odd looking. You are great. You look great, and I hope you're well. It's funny when someone calls you an author, because you think, what? Me? An author? What? I mean, I've always liked to write stories. When I was, like your age, which wasn't that long ago, obviously. I mean, I'm not a lot older than you. I mean, I'm not like your teachers, like old. I'm not that much older than you. So when I was your age, I used to write lots and lots of stories, right? And I never thought that one day I could have a book. What? With my name on it. Look, see, that's not Jason. It says my name, Jason Gunn and Andrew Gunn. What the? That's me. That's me. I can't believe it. So it's very, very exciting, and it's wonderful. And Jason Mason is, as we've said already, a very ordinary boy, but something extraordinary happens to him. And he finds out that his great uncle Bill, who sadly is no longer with us, his great uncle Bill was a secret agent. And he is going to become a secret agent just like his Uncle Bill. And there's more. His great Uncle Bill used to be able to be invisible. He could turn invisible. He had a special ring, like this ring right here. And when Uncle Bill would put this ring on his finger, he would become invisible. Let me show you. Okay, you can still see me. So obviously, it's not the same with me. I don't have that ring. But just imagine that if you put this ring on, wait, I'll do this. Wait, just wait. Just imagine that I put the ring on and, oh my goodness. He's invisible. Oh. Okay, it's not quite the same. But that's what it would be like. Imagine being invisible and the places you could go, the things you could do, and no one would know. Well, this is what Jason Mason can do. And he's got to solve all sorts of missions and go on missions. So I thought I'd read you a little bit about this. And there's a couple of bits from the book that I want to read you. Now, Jason Mason, he has all sorts of thoughts. He thinks all sorts of things. Like he'll be talking about something and then he'll go and talk about something else. He reminds me of me. I'm a bit like that. I have lots of thoughts too. So basically, he goes into this special secret laboratory and they give him this ring for the first time. And they say to him, would you like to try the ring on? Can you imagine that there is a ring there and it makes you invisible? And somebody says, do you want to try the ring? Of course you want to try the ring. Anyway, let's read a bit from Jason Mason right now. And they say, would you like to try the ring? Okay, here we go. This is the scientists have said to Jason Mason. Would you like to try the ring? Would I like to try it out? What sort of question is that? I mean, some questions you have to think about. Questions like, would you rather always use someone else's toothbrush or never change your underpants? I mean, those are questions you need to think about. Right, but no, seriously, what about another sausage roll, Jason? Or would you like to try a ring that makes you invisible? These are questions I don't need to think about. Right, I said, please, you bet. I said, please. And I took the ring, right, as fast as I could. And as I slipped it onto my little finger, I remembered that Frodo had done the same thing in The Lord of the Rings, and something bad had happened. But I actually hadn't read all of The Lord of the Rings, so I didn't exactly know exactly the bad thing that happened. Anyway, that was the sound of the ring slipping off my little finger and hitting the concrete floor. You have small fingers, said Nettie. She was one of the professors in the lab. Try the middle finger. There was a big mirror in the laboratory, all the way from the ceiling to the floor and as wide as our house. It's a really big mirror. And as I picked up the ring and I slipped it, I looked into the mirror and I could see some people. I could see Nettie, who was one of the scientists, and I could see Agent Ratana, who was a secret agent. And they were standing on either side of me in front of a workbench. And I kept looking at the mirror and I pushed the tiny button on the side of the ring. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. The only difference was that there were now 2 people in the mirror, not 3. And neither of those 2 people were me. Well, that worked, said Agent Ratana. Now, you might think that seeing yourself disappear would be a totally mind-blowing experience. But really, a big mirror is just like a big computer screen. The disappearing Jason could just be like a movie trick, right? Like they do in the movies. No. The really, really weird thing was that when I looked down at my arms and my feet and body, because there weren't any arms or feet or body, I was invisible. There was no me that I could see down there at all. Not my shoes, not my clothes, just the floor. I felt like a head just bobbing around like an invisible head. Now, just one thing, Nettie, just one thing, she said. You'll have to use to get moving around. Cling, clang. That was me bumping into a metal stool. You can't rely on visual clues anymore, you see, because you're invisible. Crash! That was me knocking over a glass beaker on the workbench and onto the floor. Instead, she said, you'll have to rely on what the neuroscientists call proprioception. In other words, your own feeling of where your body is in space. Ow! That was me stubbing my toe on the leg of the workbench. This working around thing while being invisible was going to take some getting used to. Start small, said Nettie. Pick up that pen over there. Oh, so I pushed my invisible hand. Remember, I couldn't see my hand. I pushed my invisible hand across the workbench and grabbed at the pen. It lifted into the air. It really did look like the pen. Sorry, the pen was floating. So I said, you can't see me at all. No, they said, we can't see you. Well, I had to make absolutely sure that this was the truth. I mean, so what I did, a bit naughty, I stuck out my tongue and looked straight at Nettie and Agent Ratner. I stuck my tongue out at them. Nothing. They didn't say anything at all. I stuck my left finger right up my nose like I was trying to grab a large, crunchy bogey. No reaction. They didn't tell me off. They didn't say anything. So I went further. I turned away from them and I bent over as far as I could and I stuck my bum up in the air as high as I could manage. And I said, not even my face. Jason, said Nettie, as I craned my neck to see if I could see her. And I noticed she was now looking straight at me. Yes, Nettie. I don't think we had a chance to mention this. The invisibility only lasts for 58 seconds at a time. We haven't figured out why yet. She looked towards the big mirror, and I looked towards the big mirror. And through my legs, the reflection was upside down, but still, it definitely showed Nettie, Agent Ratner, and someone who looked a lot like me bending over and sticking his bum in the air. Your training is now complete, said Agent Ratner. See, this would be the hard thing, right? I'm stopping reading a bit of the book now. If you had a ring that you could put on and you could like be invisible, I mean, it would be kind of cool because you could go places and like no one could see you and they wouldn't know you were there. But it would take a while to get used to, wouldn't it? Right? So what Jason does is he starts practicing with the ring, and that works. And then he gets told he's going on a secret mission, right? And this is when it gets really, really good. Because you're probably thinking, what I'm thinking, what he was thinking. And, like, I wonder what his secret mission is going to be. We pick it up later in the book, and guess what he says? I wonder what my secret mission is going to be. He's thinking what we're thinking. What's my mission going to be? I said to Agent Ratner. As I swerved through some heavy traffic, because they're racing around in a van trying to get somewhere. Well, the Prime Minister will tell you when we get on the plane. We're going on a plane with the Prime Minister? Who would give me a secret briefing? The Prime Minister, of course. I started wondering exactly how this would work with all the other passengers on the plane. I'd only been on a plane twice before. Once when I flew to Dunedin to visit my nana. I got to wear a little sign that said I was an unaccompanied minor. I also got to go up and down the plane handing out the lollies. The flight attendant told me to keep a couple of lollies for myself. And I knew that a couple sometimes means two, but it can also mean more than two. So I took 12. I took 12 lollies. Anyway, I went all the way up and down that plane, and I can tell you that if someone like the Prime Minister was giving someone like me a secret briefing on that plane, then some of the other passengers would definitely hear about the secret briefing. So I said, won't the other passengers hear? Well, there won't be any other passengers, she said. Well, not human passengers, any passengers anyway. Not human passengers. Chapter 16. Meh, said the sheep. Meh, said the sheep. I'm not sure if you've ever heard a sheep at close range, but to me, they make more of a meh sound than a bah. So that's why I've said meh. This particular sheep had another 5 sheep just like it, and they were sitting very close to us. We were all sitting in the back of a very big Royal New Zealand Air Force C-130 Hercules heavy transport plane. Anyway, Agent Ratner was there, and she explained basically that those sheep had been picked up off a little deserted island in the Pacific because there'd been a bit of a storm, so they'd been rescuing sheep as well. Anyway, the Prime Minister was about to come on and thought, oh, goodness gracious. And of course, you know, sometimes on meetings like this, sometimes older people, not like you and me, sometimes they can't make the screen work, and sometimes the camera works, and sometimes the microphone works. Yeah. Well, the Prime Minister was a bit like this, and the Prime Minister was trying to make the laptop work, and then she couldn't, but then they could, and then anyway, the Prime Minister came on the laptop and said, aha, Jason Mason, I hope you're ready to help your country out. Meh, said a sheep. Pardon? Said the Prime Minister. I said, sorry, that wasn't me, that was a sheep. So anyway, let's just keep going. Right, okay, yes. So we continue. She said, Jason, as I'm sure you know, tonight at Eden Park, New Zealand plays Australia in the Bledisloe Cup rugby match. The Bledisloe Cup tonight. It's a big game, I'm sure you know this, between the All Blacks and the Wallabies. A wallaby, if you don't know it, is an animal. It's like a small kangaroo. But when the Australian rugby team came to name themselves, someone had already taken the name kangaroo, so they had to call themselves Wallabies, which is a bit of a bummer. And it would be a bit like if the Chicago Bulls basketball team had to call themselves the Chicago Quite Big Goats. It's just not the same. Anyway, I don't want to give away too much, but I'll say this. The Prime Minister gives Jason Mason a top secret mission at the rugby. And Jason Mason gets to be invisible. And Jason Mason gets to run onto the park, right? But he's invisible, so no one can see him. And Jason Mason gets to save the day because it turns out there's an evil baddie. And I'm not sure if you know what his name is, but I'm going to tell you right now. Should I tell you the name? Should I tell you? I'll tell you. The name of the baddie in this book is Hugh Jas. That is his name, Hugh Jas. First name Hugh, last name Jas. Hugh Jas. Hugh Jas, he's mean, and he's going to put all this itching powder all around the world, and no one will be able to stop itching unless somebody like Jason Mason can save the day. I don't want to give away too much because maybe you haven't read the book, and I want you to read it, and I want it to be a surprise for you. But let me just say this. It does end well. And we've written a second book, and I shouldn't be telling you this. This is top secret. So I hope you enjoyed the little book, the little bit of the book that I read. I think now we've got time for some questions and things, or if there's anything anybody wants to know or about the book or about me, I'm here to answer your questions.
Cool. Thanks, Jace. Hey, look. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. And Jace, yep, you're an amazing storyteller. You made it so easy to imagine Jason Mason trying on the ring for the first time, and making us feel how it would be like to be invisible, and how difficult some things might be. Never thought
Yeah.
about that. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, questions. We've got some pretty awesome questions as usual. You
Great.
guys, at your schools, you pop through so many interesting questions. So let's kick it off with Sawyer's Bay School. Now they wanted to know where you got the inspiration for this book.
Well, firstly, Sawyer's Bay School. I love that name. That's a really cool sounding school. So awesome. Where did I get the? Well, my brother Andrew. See, he is 3 years older than me, and he's really brainy. So we're quite different. We love just, being together, playing together, and we have lots of crazy ideas, and we always wanted to write a book. And we sat around and we talked about lots of the things that I used to do when I was a little boy. And see, Jason Mason not only shares his first name with me, Jason Gunn, he also shares some experiences and things that happened to him. I was never a secret agent, but if I was, I couldn't tell you. No, I was never a secret agent, but lots of the things that happened to him at school along the way also happened to me. So we just had lots and lots of meetings, and we came up with ideas. And the great thing about books, which are much better than anything else, is you can think as big and as crazy as you like, and you can make it happen. So yeah, it just came with spending time with my brother Andy and taking some stories that had actually happened to me and thinking, how can we make these bigger and sillier and even better?
Oh, brilliant! That's so good to know. So often the everyday experiences, you can make them so exciting and so
Yeah.
much more. Yep. Now, Pies Pascal. Now, they read your book, and as a class, and absolutely loved it. Now, they obviously wanted to know if you have plans to write more.
Oh, well, thank you so much for starters. That's so kind of you. And as I've said, it told you. But if somebody asks who told you, listen back. Yeah, so we've got the second book out now, which is really exciting. And we're writing the third one. It's just so much fun. There are so many ventures that Jason Mason can go on. And as I said before, that's the great thing about books, right? Just there's no idea too big, too silly, too crazy. So yeah, lots and lots of adventures. And oh no, I've got to be careful what I say here because no, we're friends. I can tell you anything. So the Jason Mason, okay. So the first book, obviously, he learns all about being invisible and everything. And in the next book, oh yeah, he still has to be invisible quite a bit. And guess what? He may or may not end up going into space. I've said too much. And now the third book, which hasn't been written yet, but is being written, we're trying to come up with some ideas and thinking, do we do time travel? Does he travel back in time? I like the idea of somewhere there's a city under the water somewhere. I mean, see what I'm saying before? Crazy ideas. Just think something really, really crazy and then go and make it happen. So that's our idea. And I'm going to tell you my dream. One day, I'd like to see Jason Mason on screen, like maybe a TV show or maybe a movie. Oh, and I know who would be great in it. I think we should get you in it. I think you should be in it. Just a quick show of hands. Hands down right now. Just hands down. I just want a rough idea. There's probably nobody going to say this. Just hands down. Just hands up if someone would like to be in Jason Mason the movie. Just a quick look. Just one hand. Oh, that's good. Okay, hand. Wow, this is good. Thank you. Well, this is good. There's a couple of hands that went up. Hands down now. I think we should make it. So that's something I'd love to do one day, and I'd love to see you in the movie. So let's see if we can make that happen.
Exciting. Eagerly await. So since we're on time travel, Ashburton Intermediate School, they wanted to know if you could go back and tell your 12-year-old self something, what would it be?
That's such a great question. That is such a great question. What would I tell myself? One thing I would tell myself is that, because so at 12, I guess I'm about to start high school, right? So I would tell myself that life is long and you don't need to make the teams at school or be the best speller or the best reader or the best at anything at school. Life is really, really long. If you can just get through school and learn some things and make some great friends and just open your mind to learning a bit, these are things that you'll use later on in life. And I say to my children sometimes, don't peak at school. Like, don't be at your absolute best. When you're 30, don't go, oh, I used to be awesome when I was 12. What happened? So I would tell my 12-year-old self to enjoy the journey. And look, honestly, being your age and being a kid, it's the best thing. And don't ever, ever lose your sense of humor. Don't ever stop being a kid. I meet some boring adults sometimes, and I do. And I can't even stand talk with them because they're just so boring. And they've just forgotten to be a kid. They've just lost their sense of humor. So take your sense of humor with you always. And I'd always just tell myself to believe in myself. I always wanted to be on television. And everyone went, oh, whatever, look at you. I always wanted to have a job in television. And all my mates said, nah. And so I wrote to the people at television and they went, nah. But I just kept on writing and I kept believing in myself. And I got a job in television. And that job has lasted me 35 years. It's amazing. Whatever you want to do, my friend, whatever you want to do, you can do it. There is no way I ever thought I could write a book. There's no way I thought I'd be good enough to write a book and one day be here talking to you. No way. And here we are doing it. If I can do this, if I can have a book and I am nobody, if I can have a book with my name on it, you can have a book with your name on it. You can do whatever you want to do. So just dream big. That's what I tell my 12-year-old self.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're so right about enjoying the journey, enjoying the moment. You kids, your mum and dad probably have already told you, enjoy being a kid. You don't want to grow up too early. But we've all been kids, and and being the big kid is always you always want to grow up really quickly. But if you're not going to listen to mum and dad, listen to Jace. Enjoy the moment. Be a kid. Cool. So let's go to a question from this is a good one. A question from Kina School. They want to know have you ever had an idea but had to abandon it?
That's a great question, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes you have an idea for something, you think this would be really cool. So I have lots of times. You can't see because there's a wall in the way, but if we, like this office I'm in now, if we went through a door and then another door, out there is the offices where they make What Now and Brainbusters and a few other TV shows you may have heard of. And I've worked with them for a long time. And lots of times when you make television, you have a crazy idea. It's a good idea. And you'll be in a meeting, you go, what about we do this? And everyone goes, yeah, nah. You go, but it's a really good idea. Yeah, nah. And what I've learned over the years is, you know what? Sometimes not every good idea of yours is going to work today, but hold on to it. And I've had lots of ideas that I've had to park and go, okay, cool. We'll come back to that. And some of those ideas we do and some of them we don't, but that's all right. You're really smart. You're gonna have lots of great ideas. So I never worry when I have an idea and it doesn't really happen, because I know I'll have another really, really good idea. But I've had lots of ideas for books and for TV shows and all sorts of things. And the secret is you got to write them down, because what happens is you have a good idea, it gets abandoned, it doesn't happen. And then you know what happens? You forget about it. And then you know what it's like when you forget something, you're like, what was that thing I was trying to, what was that thing? You've got to write it down. You've got to write it down. So if you have a good idea, you write it down. You put it in your phone, you put it somewhere on the computer, write it down, because one day you'll get a chance to do it again.
Yeah, that's so important, like to actually give it a go.
Yes.
You know, don't hide your ideas away, or don't be scared to like try it out, because you never know until you actually try it. So
yes, that's a really good point, in fact, isn't it? Sometimes we're really quick to abandon an idea. And sometimes you just got to go, let's not abandon it. Let's just park it. Let's come back to it later. Let's give it some more thought. So that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, some of the greatest things that greatest authors, illustrators, they all took plenty of goes at you know, writing their books or illustrating their pictures and stuff, you know. And it's not often you get it first hit.
Do you know what? I'm not sure. I'm sure you have heard there is a place that sells food. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called KFC. I may or may not have had it for dinner last night. Anyway, but there's places like that, and there's an old guy, and he was called like the Colonel. And then there was another guy. I'm not sure you know the guy called Abraham Lincoln. He's an old guy. He was the president of the United States. That Colonel guy, he was an old man. Abraham Lincoln, he was an old man. Do you know how long it took for them to do what they wanted to do? Forever. Do you know what? Were they 12? No. They were like old people when they finally got to do what they wanted to do, right? Like, guess what? Have a guess how old I am. Look at me. Have a guess. Don't say it out loud. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my hand. And when I drop my hand, okay, you need to say out loud the number that you think I am, okay? And be nice, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. So I'm sorry, did someone say 100? I heard a very large number, right? Okay, I'm 54, which is like, that is old. But do you know what? I've still got some really crazy ideas and things I want to do, right? So, and you know what? I'm going to do them. And if I'm still going to do my crazy ideas and I'm old, you need to do all your crazy ideas, because you seriously, and never stop doing all your crazy ideas. Keep doing them. No matter how crazy they are, no matter how old you get, you keep going. You might have an idea today. You might have an idea when you're old, like those old men I was talking about, or old like me. It doesn't matter. Just keep being crazy. Keep trying new ideas. And if someone says that's a silly idea, don't listen to them. They don't know.
Yep, that's right, Jace. That's right. Cool. All right. So let's move on before we run out of time. Manchester Street School.
Oh.
Now they wanted to know: did you enjoy writing when you were in primary school? And if you did, what type of writing did you like doing?
That's such a great question. You guys have great questions. I did like writing when I was at primary school. I loved it because I had lots of ideas. Sometimes they didn't all join together. They were a bit disjointed, but that doesn't matter. Just write down all your ideas. What did I used to write? Well, I used to play a lot of sport when I was a kid. So I used to play a lot of cricket and a lot of tennis and a lot of soccer. It was called back then, football. I wasn't really big enough to play rugby, so I didn't. People would have just, so I didn't. But I used to do lots of stories about that. I also loved, when I was a kid, I loved like space. So when Star Wars came out, it was like the best thing ever. Can I please give you my favorite Star Wars sounds? So I know you haven't asked for it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, here we go. Here's my favorite Star Wars sounds. Okay. Number one, an easy one. Anyone can do this. Darth Vader. That's easy. Just sounds like someone's got asthma. That's easy. Okay. What about this one? Like a lightsaber. Not bad. Or there's always R2-D2. That's quite good. Or one of those little TIE fighter spaceships. And my favorite one, Chewbacca, okay? The big Wookiee. The people next door must wonder, what is going on? Anyway, I loved Star Wars, right? I loved all that. So anything to do with space and like, space travel, I used to write lots of stories about that.
Yeah, cool. So the important thing is, write about what you love and what you want to, right?
Yeah, perfect. Exactly right. Yeah.
Cool. Now, this is probably a good one. So, lots of kids out there. You guys have probably got brothers or sisters or other siblings. So back to Ashburton in school, they wanted to know what you enjoyed the most about working with your brother.
Oh, what a beautiful question. And it's a great question. Do you know what I think it was? It was just time with my brother. So what would I say? Yeah. So we've written 2 books now, right? And we're writing our 3rd one. So what I'm going to tell you. So the first book was that was really special because it was just so exciting. We'd never written a book together. So that was just us being together, like when you're with your brother, your sister, and, when you're getting on, of course. And there were just lots of crazy ideas, and it was really, really special. I'll tell you a secret I haven't told many people. So the second book. So this year has been like quite a tough year for me and my brother because our beautiful mum died at the start of the year. So, it's been a very sad time for us, and that's okay. It's, being sad is okay. So, we had we've cried lots, but we've laughed lots, telling stories about mum and stuff. And so at the start of the second book, there's a little passage, and it's a dedication to mum. And if you open the second book and look just to the left, there's a little dedication there for our mum. But what it's been really beautiful is whenever I've been with Andrew writing the second book, I can sense that mum is very much, she's with us and she's smiling. So it's nice. And that second book is dedicated to our mum. And so it's what the second book did is it brought us together at a time that we very much needed to be together. So that was pretty awesome. And so this third book, it's more time with someone that I love, and that's my brother. So, and if there's one thing I can tell you, that look, honestly, family, we're funny, aren't we? Sometimes families we get on, and sometimes families can be a bit annoying. But trust me, when the going gets tough, and family can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Family doesn't need to be a mother, a father, a brother, a sister. Family can be a neighbor. It can be a mate, but you'll find you've got very special people in your life, and it's nice to know that they're there when you need them.
Yeah, that's true. And it's really beautiful that you dedicated the book to your mum, and you got to spend your time with your brother, remembering all those cool stories that inspire these new stories. So it's so easy sometimes, to get a little bit cross with your sibling or your family members. It's so cross, but when it comes down to it, family's family, and you've got no one else apart from family.
Yeah, that is so beautifully said, my man. That's so true. So true.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach my kids that at the moment, because my kids they like to fight.
Yes.
But the little moments where they look out for each other and they pick each other up when one's fallen over. Those are the special ones.
And also, no, like my brother Andrew and I, boy, oh boy, dude, we used to fight. Yes, we did, but family's tight. Mm-hmm. So family's about not always getting on, but then getting on. And as you get older, trust me, you'll learn to accept each other, that you are different. But you'll also learn that family, as I say before, that comes together when you really need it. So it's all right. It's all good.
Yeah. Now, we've come to a really important question here, and it is the season. So, Kina School, they want to know, what was the best Christmas present you've ever had?
Oh, such a great question. Well, I'll tell you something you may not know, and there's no way you'd know it, and that's fine. I mean, I love Christmas, but guess what? The next day, that's a bigger deal because Boxing Day is my birthday. Now, it's a bit sucky because it's a bit of an afterthought, I'm not going to lie. But still, so remember this on Boxing Day, think, oh yeah, it's Jason's birthday. Thank you very much. Thanks for remembering. So, but back to the great question, the best birthday present we ever got. I remember now. Yeah, absolutely. So remember I told you I love Star Wars? Well, I'm so old that, okay, you know how like we have podcasts and Spotify and iTunes and all sorts of things. Back in the day, we had something similar. They were called tapes. I'm not even going to try and explain how they work. But basically it was a recording of Star Wars, the Star Wars movie. When I say the Star Wars movies, I mean the good ones. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. The ones before that, I don't even talk about them. They don't even exist in my mind. Anyway, I got recordings of those and I would listen to them all day and all night. We go on car trips and let's put Star Wars on. My family was like, oh no. So the best present ever were the Star Wars tapes that I could listen to day and night. And can you imagine going on a road trip in the car with me and I'd have my little headphones on and every now and then you'd just hear, they were very long road trips for my family, but patient family. So.
I imagine that they would have, really enjoyed some of the scenes and from Star Wars over and over again.
Yeah, I think maybe the first 2-3 times they thought, well, this is fun. Yeah. Yeah. And on the long road trips, they were like, maybe we could just stick Jason on a bus. maybe he doesn't need to travel with us.
We'll meet you there.
Yeah, we'll just meet. Or maybe Jason could just stay at home and look after the house with the cat. Maybe that. So, but thankfully they didn't do that. No.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So it's time. It's come to the time where we announce the winners of today's giveaway, which is obviously Jason Mason and the world's most powerful itching powder. Congratulations to Edmund Primary School, Renee from Primary School, and also Caitlin from Hobsonville Point Primary School. We'll be sending you out a copy of that book ASAP. Yeah. Trying to beat that Christmas rush. Now, next thing is, hey, look, Jason, thank you so much. It was a real privilege and treat to have you here with us. I think the work that you do and the work that you have done is, is so much more than just like a TV presenter or a personality. Your work reaches our tamariki and you help instill positive messages and help shape the young minds. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. So yeah, thank you very much.
That is really kind. And listen, wherever you're listening right now, I'm going to say something that's going to sound quite grown up, but it's not. I promise you it's not. I want to thank you, my man, and thank Hell Pizza too, because, you meet a lot of people and they want to make things happen and they talk about things like what we could do and we could do this and we could do that. But what Hell Pizza does is they make this actually happen. They set us reading challenges and that takes time and it takes effort and it takes money and it takes people who care. So to everybody, to you, my man, and everyone that you work with, look, thank you so much for making this happen. I meet lots of people who are going to do something, but you and the team at Hell Pizza, you're actually doing it. And I just have so much respect for you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, at Hell, this the reading challenge and also this book, the book trip, it's one of our, the thing that we're most proud of, seeing all the wheels come in and all you tamariki getting free pizzas for reading all your books. That makes us so happy, and we're just so proud. So yeah, thanks, Jason.
Right.
So before we say goodbye, I also wanted to say a very special thanks to all the amazing authors and illustrators who have taken time out of their busy days and, to come share with us their stories and give us little glimpses into their lives and what inspires them. We also want to thank all the teachers and all the librarians for joining us and bringing your tamariki and young adults to us too. And it's, you guys play such an important role guiding them through their own journeys, and helping them enjoy the magic of storytelling. Reading's so important, and it's great. And finally, thank you to all of you, all the tamariki and young adults, for being part of this, for all your questions, all your curiosities, for your love for reading, writing, illustrating. You guys are Aotearoa's future authors and illustrators, and all of us at HAL hope that you've been inspired by some of these stories and had insights into, the world of our wonderful authors and illustrators that have spoken with you. So yeah, have a great Christmas, have a safe summer break, and we'll see you again in 2024. Ka kite.
Bye.